Okay, so if nobody's gonna say it, I'm gonna say it. And I know this video is gonna get a lot of backlash, but this is just how I honestly feel right now. The Washington Commanders are getting completely finessed. And it's hard for me to really say that because these guys have been around for a very, very long time through the ups and downs and even got a contract extension. And that's the thing, when you get a contract extension, that's an organization showing their faith in you that you can take your game to the next level. And that just hasn't been the case for Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. In fact, in my opinion, I believe they regressed. And that's why I believe the Washington Commanders need to tear down the whole defensive line, starting with those two in the middle. Trade Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. Let's talk about it. What's good, y'all? It's your man Juan Gotti here. Before we get into today's video, I ask you guys to do me a favor and subscribe to my new fitness channel as I am documenting my journey from fat to muscular. I'm now entering my 3rd month of my progress, so please join me on that channel of documenting my body change. YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We have the Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm simply coming on here with a video where we're going to be talking about why I feel like the Washington Commanders need to trade Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload new videos like this to the channel. One road to 9,000 subscribers, so we greatly appreciate if you can reach that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Let's get straight to it.
The way that we live is not for everybody. We're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she cry for him, the shawty is the winner. You can tell that shawty's on.
You know what time it is. It's time to come out.
I love the way she move it, shake it on me.
So first and foremost, I want to start by saying thank you to Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne for what they have done over the years. These guys are in the same conversation as Jeremy Reeves, Tress Way, Terry McLaurin, Sam Cosmi, all these guys that's been here for the long haul, that's been through so many terrible seasons. Thank you for it, but I feel as though your time here in Washington has come and gone. And as painful it is for me to say that, it's just the truth. Remember a couple seasons ago when this defensive line was supposed to be this vaunted front with Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, and Montez Sweat? It quite frankly has never been what it was supposed to be. And in my opinion, Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen are slightly starting to become overrated because we watch them on a week-to-week basis and they don't do nothing. And this isn't just a this year issue, right? Obviously, you could point to, well, one, Jonathan Allen missed a lot of the season due to a partially torn pec, and Daron Payne was getting all the double teams, etc. That wasn't always the case because even before the injuries, going back to the last year of Rivera, the year after Daron Payne got his contract, he was supposed to put up yet another stellar season like he did the year he got paid when he had 11.5 sacks. He hasn't been the same, and same for Jonathan Allen since he got his contract extension. What the hell has he done? And unlike in the past, you could somewhat rely on these two guys to be a force in stopping the run, but over the last 2 seasons, it has not been that, and especially this past year, we know how bad our run defense was, man. And that's why I asked the question, what's the point of keeping them around if they're literally just a regular defensive tackle? I can go pay somebody else in free agency that's younger and cheaper to get the same results from a guy like Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen that I'm paying all this money to. And if you have any intentions on trading for an elite player this offseason, whether it's Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, a defensive pass rusher, somebody out there, you're going to have to offload your 2 most valuable players that you wouldn't mind losing, and that is Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. Although we watch these guys on a weekly basis and know these guys are not the same, they're not what they once were, or maybe they just were always overrated. I don't know, but to the NFL, these guys are still the Bama Wall. These guys are still elite, and their value is as high as it's going to be right now. So once again, I say, if you plan on upgrading this team and pushing all the chips to the forward front to compete for Lombardis this upcoming season and in the future, you need to trade Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, because right now they're going to net you the most compensation. So not only are you going to be able to get out of those contracts, you're going to be able to get draft picks back for players that are somewhat past their prime. Then you can go out in free agency and get an Odigizua who we're tied to, who's not going to cost as much. And then maybe this is the year where Johnny Newton takes over and he's the starting defensive tackle alongside a guy like Odigizua. And as you guys know, we've had so much money tied into the defensive line the past years for it to not be as good as it should. So I'm ready to just start new, from new interior guys to new pass rushers, man, because we need to get this thing figured out. So sign Odigizua in free agency or somebody else. Start Johnny Newton. This is what you drafted him for. Remember, you had a first-round grade on him and you didn't know how he was still sitting there when we drafted him. So this is the year he takes a big leap. I expected that of him. Bring back Dante Fowler. I love what Tay Fowler did this year. Double-digit sacks, but Tay Fowler isn't a game changer. Tay Fowler is not an every down pass rusher. Same with Dorrance Armstrong. He's going to be back next year. I love Dorrance in a rotational six-man kind of role, not our every down pass rushers. We need game changers that are going to flip games. They're going to go hunt the ball. That's what we need. And to be completely honest, we played the Eagles 3 times this season, and out of the 2 games that we played them, they forced so many turnovers. What separates their defense from ours? They hunt the football. They are looking for turnovers. They don't care about making tackles. They want the football, the most prized possession out there on the gridiron. That's what we need on this defense. Somebody that's going to go get the football. Remember, that's what we were supposed to be this season. Remember, ball is life, and for the most part of the season, outside of that Detroit game, ball really was not life because we wasn't getting turnovers on a consistent basis. I love what we got out of our rotational edge rushers, but we need somebody that's going to constantly push the pocket and just be an absolute menace to those tackles. And I know some people are going to be like, Juan, well, you need to keep at least one of them because you need some type of veteran presence in that room. While you are right, I think, again, you can go a cheaper route with getting some veteran presence and leaderships inside that room. It doesn't have to be Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. And I do want to make this clear. I don't want to get rid of them because I have ill will towards these guys. I would love for them to be here until their end of their career. But if you're in a position to where you're looking to upgrade your team and push it to the next level, and you're not getting the production out of some players that you thought you would or you should be getting out of these kind of players, it's time to move on. And looking at both of these players' contracts, Jonathan Allen this upcoming season will be 30 years old and he's due $15 million as his basis salary. He has a $22 million cap hit and he has a $6 million dead cap. So obviously you're not going to just flat out cut Jonathan Allen. You're going to either trade him or you're going to keep him because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So he is going into the last year of his deal. So if someone was to trade for him, they have to go into with that mindset of knowing, all right, this guy's a 1-year rental and we may be only having him for 1 season, but I'm more than certain because Jonathan Allen isn't just complete trash. So whoever decides to trade for him is going to go into it with the mindset of knowing they have to extend him. And that being said, he is a unrestricted free agent after this upcoming season. So maybe Adam Peters just decides to keep him and let him finish out his contract here and let him walk in free agency. I don't know, but I just know, in my opinion, it's time to part ways with both of these guys and just start fresh. And I think their trade value is high right now because across the league, they're still viewed as just elite defensive tackle duos. So I think this is the offseason you decide to try to move both of these guys, if not both, one of them, and see which one nets you the most compensation and what would make the most sense for you. Because production-wise, it's time for a change, if you ask me. We need some fresh, new blood in that defensive line room. And if you look at Daron Payne's contract, he is slightly younger than Jonathan Allen, and he's going to be due $19 million in 2025. He could be essentially on his last year of his deal as well. Technically, he's not an unrestricted free agent until 2027, but Washington could have an out after this season if they were done with Daron Payne. So they could keep the Bama wall, quote-unquote Bama wall, together for one more season and be done with both of them after the upcoming season if they wanted to go that route. But I feel, again, if they want to genuinely make a difference on the offensive side of the ball or maybe the defensive side of the ball, you would try to trade these guys to get some type of draft capital back to upgrade this team. But again, looking at their contract details, we could just keep them and be done with them after next season. It's gonna be interesting to see what they decide to do, but I'm ready for some new life in that defensive line room. So even if you keep these guys, hopefully Adam Peters decides to cook up in the draft, and he finds some new defensive line time, and maybe we sign some free agents, or maybe we sign some new pass rushers, or find a gem of a pass rush in the draft. Whatever you decide to do, I just want new, because I'm tired of Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. You look at Jonathan Allen's stats since being paid. The 2021 season, he had 9 sacks, so that was pretty solid. Since then, he had 7.5 in 2022, and 2023 he had 5.5. And then this past year, obviously, he missed a lot of the season, but I would roughly say he would probably get to 5 or 6 sacks if he didn't get hurt. So again, not numbers that are just complete garbage saying that he can't play anymore. I still think these guys can play in the NFL, just not worth the contract that they are getting right now. We're not getting the production that we love to see. And I know Jonathan Allen isn't technically a pass rusher, isn't a guy that gets all the sacks in the world. I understand that, but when you're not even playing at your strong suit, which is stopping the run, when you're not even doing a good job at that, that's when we have to call you out. And same for Daron Payne. Prior to his breakout year in 2022, where he had 11.5 sacks, he had 4.5 sacks in 21, 3 sacks in 2020, and 2 sacks in 2019. These guys aren't looked at to get sacks. I understand that, but one for Daron Payne, when you get 11.5 sacks and then you follow that up with 2023 4 sacks and 2024 4 sacks, it's a problem. What happened? Why is it such a dip off after you got paid? And you're not looked at to be a sack machine. I understand that, but at least do your goddamn job, which is to stop the run and be a menace and creating some type of pressure in the interior. You're not doing none of that. You're getting shut down. That's why I'm ready to move on from you guys. Not because I genuinely have an issue with Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, but because you're doing regular stuff. Like, if you're doing regular production, I can get that out of a 6th round, 5th round pick, man. Somebody call up Matt Ioannidis. Somebody call up Tim Settle. Where are they at? Because this is the kind of production that we were happy from getting from backup guys. You know what I'm saying? If that's what we're going to be getting moving forward, you can go. We no longer have to hold on to players because we feel like this is the best we can get with our circumstance. No, first of all, again, we're coming off a season in which you went to the NFC Championship, so everybody across the league wants to come to Washington. 2, we have all the salary cap in the freaking world, the 3rd most in the NFL, so money is not a problem. We can get whoever we want. And draft pick wise, Adam Peters is one of the best drafters out there, so we know he's gonna cook up this spring. So at the end of the day, it's gonna be up to what the front office decides to do, whether they keep Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen or they move on from them. I clearly stated my stance where I'm at with these guys. What says you down below in the comment section? Do you feel like the Washington Commanders should keep Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen and let them finish out their careers here, and you think they can turn the page back to what they was a couple years ago, or are you completely done with them and want to trade them to see what we can get for them to then help upgrade this roster better moving forward? Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. As always, me and boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Want to roll to 9,000 subscribers, so we greatly appreciate if you can reach that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. You have a blessed one. Stay safe, be easy out there. Peace.